Welcome to my Best 11 podcast. Today, for our season finale, we are joined by a midfielder who has played and managed, I only realised this earlier, he's played and managed for quite a few of the same teams. So, started his career at Huddersfield, Port Vale, Brighton, Luton, and finished his career at Hull, and then has managed a plethora of clubs, which I'm sure we'll get into, including Manchester City. Today, we are joined by Brian Horton. How are you, Brian?
All good, thank you. Yeah, watching lots of football. Watched Port Vale the other week, and they just come off it a little bit. But Man City, I go to, they look after me great. So I witnessed the derby on Sunday. Went there last night, which was like the game was over. Won it after they won 5-0 away from home. So, but just enjoying watching games and not having the pressure of, as much from 3 o'clock till 5 o'clock every Saturday or 7:30 to whatever. So yeah, just enjoying my football.
Fantastic. Marvin, how are yourself? And obviously you came into the dressing room after Brian had left. Was the peg still empty? Was he still held in such high esteem? No, but was he still kind of held there in such high esteem people thought about?
Very much so. Brian left, I believe, in 84. Was it, Brian, you left? 84?
84, yeah.
Yeah, and I joined as an apprentice in 85. So I probably would have been in and around like the club while Brian was there as a schoolboy, training and growing up. So yeah, I mean, very spoke about an influential as a captain through, especially particularly the years he was there and that like championship season winning promotion. So yeah, I'd heard a lot and knew of Brian, but not actually personally sort of until obviously when he had left the club and our paths crossed on another occasion.
Fantastic. So those people who don't know about the podcast and it's first time listening, Brian's going to go through and name the best 11 players he's ever played with on a park. Before we get into that, I'm just going to give Brian a brief opportunity to just explain he's got a book out at the moment, 2,000 Games, which I know he's going around a number of clubs I've seen on through Pitch Publishing, going through around a number of clubs, signing and stuff like that. Just give us a brief explanation of the book you've got out, Brian, and kind of, is it about management and playing or one or the other?
Well, that was a guy called Tim Rich who wrote Ron Atkinson's Bielsa's, the Leeds manager, Kanchelskis, and he's a freelance sports writer, excellent writer. And he rang me and said, I'm doing a book on Man City managers. Would you be prepared to do your chapter? I said, of course. So he came round and we did my chapter at Man City and just talking, and he went, wow, we've got some great stories. And he said, so he looked it up, he went, you've done over 2,000 games. I didn't know that till Tim said. He said, you've obviously playing over 1,000 as manager, and then number 2 with Phil and director of football. You've done over 2,000 games in professional football. There's only 2, Alex Ferguson and Graham Turner, ever done it. So there's only 3 of us ever done over 2,000 games. So then he said, do you fancy doing a book? And I said, yeah, but I'm still working a little bit of time. And he said, don't really do it till after you've finished because there's always a last chapter, and you need the last chapter really. So the last chapter was when I was 71. So it's not bad. So off we went and we decided to start, which I wanted to. And I still keep in touch with my schoolboy friends now. We played in the same team as me at school when we were like 8, 9, 10, 11. And I wanted to start there. Still got photographs of a team that were winning everything, and I played for the district and then the county, and so I wanted to start there, and so that's what we did. And then to Walsall as an apprentice, getting free at 17. So basically right through my whole football career, but he came up with some good ideas as well because he asked David Pleat to do the foreword, which was fantastic. I get on great, speak with David every week now, and I owe him an awful lot, of great mentor to me. So he did the foreword, and then he said, what would like to do is let your wife do a little bit, let your children do a little bit, and let other players say things about you, if they're good. So, but David Mossy came with me as into coaching. Mark Lawrenson did a little piece. So it's a little mixture of everything and all through my career. So it was just fascinating because my memory about other things is not the best, but as probably Marvin and yourself, about football, that it just sticks, doesn't it? And you can go back and my dad Port Vale and games at Brighton and games at Luton, the games at Luton, obviously, we'll probably talk about when I come to our Luton days, were unbelievable. The 3 years there, as you were witnessing, Marvin, what we'd got promotion and then stayed up at Man City and stayed again. So went all through that, and it was just fantastic to bring up. So what I'm doing at the moment, because I've done book signings to all my clubs except Man City, so I'm doing that one hopefully when they play Watford in April. So I've done obviously Luton, Hull, Port Vale, Oxford, Brighton, and what I'm doing at the moment, so I still live in Manchester, that they've got loads and loads of supporters clubs and groups around Manchester. So I'm going around as a supporters group, so doing a Q&A for hour and a quarter, hour and a half, and then selling my books to whoever wants to buy them on the night. So it's just given me another little thing to do. Do you know what I mean? That's just keeps you involved in football, and because I do miss it. You can't get away from the fact that I've been in football that long. And Saturday afternoon, that's why I love to go to a game, because you can't stand watching a program with all the results coming in, and every minute somebody's scored a goal. I have to get out of the house on Saturday afternoon.
Fantastic. And was it quite a humbling experience having kind of autobiography written or biography written? Was it a bit humbling?
Yeah, it was, and I think that the good thing about it is that not just if it's gone particularly well, they're pleased with it. Pitch Publishing, who are the publishers of the book, they're pleased with that. But just to do it and bring back those memories and send books to the people that I've put in the book, it was humbling. That's a good word. It was.
Yeah. Excellent. And did it give you an opportunity to reconnect with some people who you haven't spoken to for years, which is what some people say? I know we spoke to Ricky Hill, and he said that he gave an opportunity to speak to a few people who hadn't spoken to for absolutely ages, and it was great.
Yeah, it does. It does. For example, Mark Lawrenson put in that if I'd ever had a bit of pace, I'd have played at the top level. I rang him. I said, "Well, I played at the top level. You don't know." I said, "I've played at the top level for years." I said, so when I wrote my book, I said to him, "He's the worst trainer that I ever played with. The worst trainer." So he rang me up and he said, "Why do you say that for? I'm the worst trainer you ever played with?" I said, "Well, you are." I said, "And you put in there, I've got no pace to play in the top league." So just a bit of banter, and good banter.
Fantastic. Well, we'll delve back into it a little bit. I just wanted to give a chance to give listeners an idea of the book that's out. So what we're going to do is we go through the formation first of all, find out the formation you picked, and then we go through the players, giving you an opportunity to have an honourable mention. And listeners, you can have a guess on the way through if you can guess Brian's best 11 with the clues he's going to give. So straight over to you, Brian. What formation did you pick for your best 11 and why?
I'm going 4-4-2. Can't tell you who's out where, but 4-4-2 basically. It becomes almost like a 4-3-3, which we played at Luton when I was there. And that was the first time I'd ever done it under David Pleat, because he asked me to be the holding midfield player. And I'd never done that role ever before. So we just, the players I played with at Luton, it just gelled, and we were a tremendous team. The first year we got promotion from the equivalent to the Championship. We absolutely walked it. Because of the system, people couldn't cope with the way we were playing. So I was the anchor man in 4-3-3, but then before that, always 4-4-2, and then I went to City, managed 4-4-2. Other clubs have changed it slightly, but I've decided to go 4-4-2 with the players that I've chosen tonight.
Excellent. Are you a believer of square pegs, round holes, or if the players are that good? What's your opinion on that?
Well, there's a couple tonight that have gone in that play anywhere, so that might cause you two a problem then. So playing somewhere else.
Right. So I'll put down Mossy as centre back then, just in case.
Mossy hates the fact, and it's a true story that people go he didn't like heading the ball, but if you look at the record when he scored goals, he would put his head in at the right place, and when he coached, he'd always coach the kids to come and get in the 6-yard box and head goals. But if you asked him to go and compete with a 6'3" right back, he wouldn't do it. He'd duck out, he gets the throw, and the gaff would say that was clever play.
What did he say, Marv? He argued back at that, didn't he? Or he played up to it, didn't he?
He mentioned his stats, actually, about when he was on, about how many goals he scored with his head. He scored quite a few goals with his head. He told us, I don't know what it was, but it was quite a big number compared to someone who supposedly didn't like heading. So...
Yeah, he did. He surprised a lot of people. Surprised me with the fact that he scored so many goals with his head. But I can't give too many clues away, can I?
Oh, yeah. No. I was just throwing that in as a joke example. So we'll go straight to goalkeeper. So you can either give some honourable mentions before or after, then for your actual one. If you can give us a few clues, see if we can guess them.
My clues are he was a fantastic kicker of the ball. Probably could play in today's modern game the way goalkeepers pass the ball and strike the ball in it from players and pick people out. He was absolutely life and soul of the dressing room. But most goalkeepers are, because they are different, aren't they? Without Marvin will tell you with the keepers, some of the keepers he played with, because they're all crackers, aren't they? They're all crackers. So
was he Scottish, Brian?
Pardon?
Was he Scottish?
You got it, mate.
Go on.
Jake Finlay, yes.
Finlay. It was a hard choice because I played with some good goalkeepers at Brighton. Eric Steele, Graham Mosley. Played with a good goalkeeper, a couple of good goalkeepers. Keith Ball when I first went to Port Vale, but that's 1971, so people probably wouldn't get that one. But then John Norton had been at Man United. He was still playing for Port Vale when I went to Brighton in '76. So, but Jake was a top keeper. I mean, his hands were massive. He was just so big and like I say, which we did have. We had a fantastic team spirit when I played for Luton. We used to go out together, play golf together, and Jake was the life and soul of the party. He was just a great guy to be around, fun guy, but serious when it came to training and doing what he had to do. Then obviously you get serious, don't you? But I plumped Jake.
Excellent. And alongside a number of people, I think he's definitely up there with a lot of people who picked that. What's your thoughts on playing for Scotland? Do you think there were too many other goalkeepers playing in Scotland at the time, or?
Yeah, well, I think Jake had a free from Aston Villa, didn't he, as a kid? I think he went on a free to Luton, and he was there obviously when I was there. Lots of good keepers around, and obviously Jake had been playing in Division 2, which it was now the Championship. So they'd been in that a couple of years. So then we got promotion with Jake playing all that season, and then the following season, and we had to win at Man City on the last Saturday of the second season. Jake didn't actually play in that game; he was injured when we had to win at Man City, which we always gave him stick about. It's the big game.
Do you think, Brian, I mean, not just only yourself, I think a couple of other players have picked out Jake, and they've always, and I was listening to you there, everyone's mentioned about how he was good at picking people out with the ball. So especially in today's game, how the goalkeepers are being relied upon to be starting attacks, do you think Jake probably would have been a little bit, along with his shot stopping, along with his presence, would have been probably more in demand?
Yeah, without a shadow of doubt. I mean, he could like drop volley it, when he like drop volley it, bang, and he'd drop it into people. I mean, very rarely Trevor Aylock came later on, but we had Steve White and Brian Steen. It weren't that big, or we didn't play that way, did we? You were there as a schoolboy. You know how we played through the football club. It was like David Pleat wanted to like pure football, didn't he? So Jake couldn't like just go bang up there and expect someone to win it. Well, she probably couldn't, and who wasn't bad in the air, to be fair. Steenie won fantastic in the air, but again, both of them got goals. But so he used to drop volley them in. It was like when he did it, it stood out. It was one of those way things. Wow, different class. And then Alan Judge was his number 2. So Judge came in sometimes when Jake was injured. Another great person, Alan Judge. Great lad.
Fantastic. So we're going to move on to defenders. Do you want to go right or left first of all?
Right.
Okie dokie. So right backs. Over to you, Brian.
So you don't give me names first, then?
No, you
Okay.
go for it.
Okay.
This is your show.
He was a very attack-minded fullback. Good on the ball, fitness fanatic. He came in from non-league, and very, very good player. Good footballer. So, and he wasn't that big. I'd say 5'10".
Andrew?
Got it down to 2.
Two?
Say,
I couldn't even think of one. Say the one there's an obvious one I'm thinking of. Well, say the other one, what you think it is then? I haven't got. Go on.
Oh, I wasn't sure if you put Tim Breaker in.
no, Tim came through as 17-year-old.
Yeah. No. So go on, Andrew. I think it's the other one.
So it must be Basher then.
You got him?
Yeah.
Go on then.
Basher Stevens. Kirk Stevens, for those people who aren't Luton fans.
Yeah.
Kirk Stevens, yeah. Kirk was a tremendous fullback. And what he did when I came and they changed the system, Westy went and he went to Millwall, Paddy Grealish went almost like part exchange to Brighton, and I came to Luton. And I said we changed that system to 4-3-3. So basically, Ricky was on my right-hand side, Lil was on my left-hand side, so we didn't have a right winger. So we always played with 2 strikers, but David used to say to me, if we're winning and you want one of those strikers to go out there, you can make them so it become like almost 4-5-1. But very rarely did we do it. But so Kirk always used to say, hang on a minute, I'm going to have 2 players coming down my side. I don't know if I've got left winger and I've got left back because we've got no right winger. We used to say to him, Kirk, look, what we'll do, as soon as the left back starts coming out, I will send Ricky over and I will come and take Ricky's place. So now we'll become like 4-4-2. Oh yeah, and that's how we did it. So Kirk didn't get exposed, and he was a good defender anyway, but he was better in the air than a lot of people thought. Right,
Yes. Yeah. He was we spoke to him a few days ago and he mentioned obviously having you as captain in the middle of the park and how he used to be really good at the directional side of things. And I'm just going to ask now, he mentioned the knobby stare. Is that something that he said it, right? I'm not, as a fan, I'm not bringing this up. I'm quoting him. Am I out talking? Did he say this, Marv?
Yeah, he said he did. Go on. Yeah, tell it. Yeah.
So
I've already mentioned it to Brian when we spoke before he came on a while ago. Everyone.
He said the knobby stare, and he used to get back in position. How did you? Is that just something? You're smiling so much about that. Is that how would you explain the knobby stare?
Well, I saw what Rob Johnson said. Also, the game would carry on and still be staring 10 minutes later. It was just the way I was really, and I expected it back because we had high standards that if say someone gave the ball away, my stare would come out. Somebody made a mistake, and I accepted it back because I knew as soon as I made a mistake, I'm going to have 10 on me. Because that's the way I was. And I was like it in training. Marvin will tell you. You'll know that sometimes in training people are not bothered. Like you just said about Mark Lawrence, not bothered about training 8v8 or 7v7, whatever. I wanted to win. I wanted to win every day. I wanted to win every game. I wanted to be that way. So that's where the stare, and some of the referees used to say that I used to stare at them also. In fact, I got booked once for dissent by looks. There you go.
No way.
On my life. And I'll tell you who the referee was, Marvin. You might not have played because you're a lot younger. It was Clive Thomas. Remember Clive Thomas?
Yeah.
He was a crap referee anyway, but
So in the 70s and 80s, you have players diving in, 2-footed jump tackles, barely getting a yellow, and you get a yellow for your look, for the knobby look.
For dissent by looks.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely brilliant. So we'll move to left back. Who is going to be your left back, Brian?
This left back, very versatile player. Could play not up front, obviously, but could play all over the place, defensively, midfield player, great athlete, international player, and top lad.
Was he a Welsh international?
No.
Oh, I know who it is then, I think. Andrew, you know who it is?
Why do you do that? You always throw me under the bus with these comments because you have no idea. You just buy yourself time, Martin. Every week.
I had two. But like, I could be wrong anyway.
I always get these because they could be because they shuffle across. They could be so many different places.
I'm going. You know, no, Andrew. I can put myself underneath the bus.
Go on, then. Put yourself over there.
Get Mal Dollicky.
Yes, spot on, mate. Spot on.
Left back. Okay, right.
Mal could play. He could play left back. He could play centre back. Play midfield. Again, a fitness fanatic, great lad. Very quiet in the dressing room and around. You know, for an international player, and obviously went on to play for Man United and play for Ireland many times. And again, great lad in the dressing room. We had a fantastic team spirit, and you know, Mal liked to drink, but quietly. Mal wasn't like a Jake Finlay or a Kirk Stevens or whatever. You know what I mean? He was always a quieter one of the group, basically.
Yeah, there were quite a few, obviously, of that team that were coming through or that are coming through non-league and stuff like that. Is that something that you came in? Were you brought in to almost be the leveler? The kind of the do you know what I mean? The kind of the statesman of the dressing room. Is that what you were brought in by Pleat to do, as well as obviously on the football side?
I think so. I think Paul Price was captain, because Price went to Tottenham as I came in again. So Paddy Grealish went to Brighton, Wesley went to Millwall, and Price went to Tottenham. I came in, and that's what I say when he changed the shape, and he made me captain straight away. As I'd been all my life at Port Vale, at Brighton, so always at school, always been the captain, and I think he wanted me to do that side. But the gaffer was the gaffer, because sometimes it's great when you're winning, and when we won the Division 2 title, and then we stayed up and had a drink after. We used to go in the players' lounge, into the bobbers upstairs to have a drink, and sometimes the gaffer didn't like it, you know what I mean? The fact if we've lost a game, that we're going to have a drink. But that's the way it was in those days. They don't drink anymore till probably, but it's they earn too much money now to be drinking and stuff like that. But we weren't stupid after games. I mean, we just have a drink. Mal used to shoot off. Mal was very rarely around us. That time if we were away abroad, then he would join in. Of course he would, because he's part of the team. But he was quiet in that. So obviously. But if we had a night out and I used to arrange things, you know, golf days, and a guy, good little story, a guy run a casino in Brighton, and I got to know him quite well. Not that I'm a big gambler, I'm not, but I got to know him quite well. There's a neighbour of mine, so he used to say, bring the team down, Brighton team now to the casino in Hove. I'll put a meal on, put drinks on, tell them to have a little bet. They don't have to have a bet. So brilliantly for me, the same guy opened a casino right at the bottom of Kenilworth Road.
Oh, the Grosvenor? Yeah.
Yes. And he said, so same thing, he said, Brian, bring the lads down, have a meal, put some drinks on. Well, they'd have thought I was the bee's knees, didn't I? You know, arranging things like that. I'd only just been there 2 minutes, and I'm arranging things like that. So, but they all used to come, the lads used to turn out in force wherever we did Christmas parties, going out on if it was a Wednesday night, which we did sometimes, after golf, then nearly everybody joined in. It was a fantastic group of people, and as you know, we have a reunion every now and again, and we've got another one coming up soon. So that it's unbelievable. So many of us have kept in touch all these years and have a reunion. There's not many clubs do that.
Yeah. So you're talking about dressing rooms and that type of thing. When you went to be a manager, is that something that, firstly, did you find difficult to kind of pull away from, especially kind of going Hull as kind of going across from player to manager? And then is that something that you sometimes found frustrating if it wasn't there in the club with the players?
Oh, so I'm very lucky at all, because I had a good captain, Gareth Roberts. So when I went in, obviously I'm not going to be player, manager, captain, am I? I mean, just not. It's just not on. I mean, the chairman, after a couple of years, he made me player, manager, director. I didn't want to be, but he wanted me to be a director, so I became a director. First one only. I don't think there's anybody else ever done that. And when he sacked me eventually, which we'll talk about later on, I had to resign as being a director before he could sack me. So it's crazy times.
You voted against? Vote against.
Yeah. So I wanted my captains to be that way. I wanted them to be, if you want to drink out, if you want to go take the boys out drinking, I don't mind as long as you're not silly and not get in trouble. I wanted them to do that because for me that brings the team together, and they don't do it so much today because they can't do anything, can they? Like the boys in Man City players, Man United players, they can't move without somebody taking a photo of them. Well, there was nothing like that in our day, so we could get away with quite a few things. The gaffer used to, on Thursday morning, used to say, "I know where you were last night because people tell me." And I said, "Gaffer, I'll tell you where we were if you want me to, because we haven't been stupid. We were professional enough to know that come Thursday we train again, Friday match day." But I wanted my captains to be that way. Yeah, I wanted them to be not outspoken, but have a voice, have a say. If you want to say something, say it, and I'll back you 100%.
Yeah, fantastic. So centre backs. Let's move across to the middle. He hasn't put Mal there, so this is intriguing.
I'll start on the right side centre back then. International player again. Signed for £100,000. Went on to have a great career. As I said, played for England.
Andrew? The reason I've said Andrew is because I feel, I'll give you a clue now, that he's picked someone where he couldn't pick Mal in there. I think I know his two centre backs, but Mal could have been in there, but he's gone with these two in my mind, and he's got Mal on the left for this reason.
Yeah, you're right. You're right there. But Mal could play left. Mal could play left back.
Yeah, he could.
Which he did at least times. But the one I'm talking about was just an out-and-out centre half.
Aussie.
Yeah, you got him.
Yep.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Steve Foster.
Yeah. Again.
You played with him at Brighton, is that right? And a lot of Luton fans will listen to this and go, "Oh, I can't remember them playing together." You played with him at Brighton, is that right, Brian?
I played for him at Brighton. He came from Portsmouth for $100,000.
Yeah.
Good player for his size, and obviously wore the headband after a few years. But then people thought that was a gimmick, but it wasn't, because it was like scar tissue because he had his balls basically. And again, great in the dressing room. You knew when he went out on the pitch that he was going to put his heart and soul into it. But he's a good footballer also. Fozzie, I believe, was a striker when he was a schoolboy and that. So he wasn't just a big, raw bone centre half that would just kick it and head it, get goals from set pieces. So I played with him at Brighton, and when I left Luton to go to Hull, David Pleat asked me about him. "Tell me about Steve Foster," he said. I said, "Steve Foster, he's a captain, he's a leader." He said, "Well, I've heard this, and I've heard that, and I've heard that." I said, "So what? So what?" I said, "He's a leader. What he'll give you on the pitch," and he told me the fee, and I said, "Are you kidding me? The fee, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was for nothing, and I mean for nothing." So he went and signed him, and look what he did for Luton. And then I signed him again. I signed him again at Oxford United. When I went to Oxford, I signed him again there, just to do exactly the same thing. Come in the dressing room, get him on, get him going, get the team spirit going. And Fozzie was good at that. Fozzie liked to drink, but at the right time again. At the right time. Great lad to have around the club.
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely. So, other centre back. Let's keep going across, and then I'll chip in with another question in a sec. Let's go to the other side and see if Marv's got the pairing correct.
You're on the left hand side now, yeah?
Yes.
Again, this player could play anywhere. Left back, left side, right side, centre back, midfield, international player. signed for £100,000, and went on to have a fantastic career.
Marvin?
Did he play for Preston as well?
He did. You're getting too good, Marvin. You're getting too good.
He knows it as well, I think.
I'm thinking he's Preston, but he's famous for another club in that region. Is that right?
He's what?
He's famous for playing for a much bigger club in that same part of England.
Liverpool.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. So we got Mark Lawrenson. Yes.
Laura was he was just such a good footballer. It's funny really, because I've just been playing tennis with Steve Piper, who passed away a couple of years ago. Who was a great friend of mine who played for Brighton at that time, and we've just been over to play tennis over the road in Oak Park, over the ground, over from the ground. And we're coming back in to get a shower, and Alan Mullery just stopped us. I've just signed the best centre half in the from Division 3 today. We got promotion then. We were like in Division 2, and we went 100 grand. Oh, a lot of money. I went Jim Cannon, Palace. Not though Palace would sell a player to Brighton, would they? Because of the how it was and how it still is. And so I went through a few centre halves, couldn't get it. He went Mark Lawrenson. I said, Mark Lawrenson. I said, what he tore him to bits. I said, we beat him 5. We beat him 5 in one game. I said, you were signing like you're telling me he's the best centre half in the division. And he did. He became. He was just special. He didn't want to train. He didn't need to train almost. He's one of those freaks really that if I was playing 8v8, and if I'm picking an 8v8 on a Tuesday morning or Thursday morning to play each other, Laura would be last pick, because all he'd want to do is he'd want to go out on the wing and just stand there, get the ball. We used to say to him, Gaffer, why don't you just give him a ball on his own so he can have a little dribble up on the wing? Because he didn't want to know. But come Saturday, switch on. And there's not many players that can do that. I couldn't do that. I could not do that. I had to, on match day, start my warm up and build up. Laura would come in with a cup of tea on about 2:30, and just he couldn't do it now the way they warm up now, could he? He couldn't do it, Marvin, because he was so laid back. I played with him in midfield. We played at Notts Forest one night when they won the European Cup, and he came and played with me in midfield, and we beat them 1-0. They'd gone about 70 games or something unbeaten, and he played in midfield with me. And great player and great lad. I still keep in touch with Mark, and he was special talent.
No, brilliant, Brian. I always love asking the guests. I mean, you mentioned it a little bit earlier on, how, why football, and you mentioned about you. Got released from Warsaw. So, I mean, just you touching about being like playing for the district and all that stuff about in your book. What was it? I mean, where was it where it first began, your love of football? And did you have, apart from Warsaw, did you have like options for other clubs as a kid?
I was playing, and it's a guy who's a school teacher. He wasn't my school teacher around Cannock, Ensford area, but he run a side called Cannock Athletic in the Warsaw Junior Youth League under 18s, and he'd seen me play, and he used to coach kids from different schools, not just his own school. And he asked my mum and dad if I could go to his coach. It was almost like a coaching clinic, Marvin. He was way ahead of his time. A guy called Ron Bullis, way ahead of his time. So he run this under 18 side, and I got in his team when I was 11, and it's under 18s. Yeah, it was just, but they were bigger and stronger than me. But I got in that team, and it was just so there wasn't like there is now School of Excellences and people watching you. And I was, because he was a scout, also a scout for Birmingham, Ron Bullis. So he used to take us training, school holidays. I used to go with a player called Malcolm Beard, who was from Cannock, who played in Birmingham's first team hundreds of times. So we used to go with Malcolm, train. So I'm about 13, 14 now, and I'm hoping Birmingham are going to take me. And 15, they made a decision they weren't taking me. So that was a bit of a blow. But then Warsaw came in and offered me a 2-3-year apprenticeship. So I'd done my second year, and I'd just broken in the side. I was very small. I was probably about 5'6", 5'7", very small, slim, but I broke into the reserve side with a lot of experienced professionals, and I thought I'd get there last year. And come the summer, the manager told me that they weren't keeping me for the third year. Absolutely devastated, cried, 3 buzzes back home, crying all the way. I'm 17, thinking, what do I do now? And one of my cousins got me a job on the building trade. I had no trade. I didn't want to do anything else. I just wanted to be a footballer. And you know what it's like. You get that way, Marvin. There's, you know, that's the way. You know, you don't think, I'll get a maths GCSE or whatever and do that and go around. I just wanted to be a footballer. So I went to my non-league side, Ensford, 17. Got in the team, and it's full of ex-pros, good standard West Midland League. Kidderminster Harriers were in there. Tamworth were in there. Lots of good teams.
Yeah.
So that's when I played and earned my stripes, basically, with a lot of experienced professionals. And then 21, Gordon Lee came and took me back into Port Vale. Luckily, so I think it had been one more year. I don't think I'd have done any of this stuff that I'm saying in the book. You know, 700 games and 1,000 games. So that's how close the game may be. By the way, I was enjoying my time when I was playing non-league. I was getting good money on the building, self-employed. I'm playing Swensford Town 3 games a week, and we're winning most of the games. I was like the George Best of Cannock and Ensford, you know what I mean? I was having a great time. But
so why would it have been just one more year? Would you just jacked it in then, Brian, or what do you mean?
Because I think I was probably enjoying myself too much, Marvin, you know what I mean? I'm 20, 21, and I'm thinking, because my dad, God bless him, he wouldn't have let me do it. He was a miner, he was a good footballer. If I'd have gone out on Friday night when I was 20, 21, he'd have gone berserk at me. You're playing tomorrow. He used to come on and watch. And he was very strict almost to say, you're not going out Friday night, still at home then. So I think if I'd have got carried on 1 more year, 2 more years, I think I don't think I'd have made it. I think I'd have stayed in the league, but I don't think I'd have done more I've done in professional football.
Right.
Wow, that's and then once you get to Port Vale, you then kick on from there, or was it quite tough going from non-league to kind of like the pro?
I played 1 reserve game at Huddersfield, and I never played another one. So I went in 1971, got in the team straight away, and never played another reserve game in the 71 to 76, and had some tragic news on Tuesday morning that Gordon Lee, who took me back into to Port Vale, had passed away overnight. He went on to manage Blackburn, Everton, Newcastle, and I owe him everything I've ever done. So that was a major blow. So what Gordon did, Port Vale had no money at that time. They'd just been fined by the FA over some illegal payments, and all he was doing was bringing non-league players in or free transfer players from other clubs, so spending no money basically. But what he did, and I've just done a couple of radio pieces over the last couple of days about what made him so special. Why was he so special? And he was just so honest, and his enthusiasm for the game and his passion for the game was unbelievable. And he gave us so much belief in that way because of his honesty, because of the way he wanted us to play, the way he wanted us to be. And he just was an absolute football fanatic, that football nut, really. We wouldn't talk about, footballers talk about all kinds of things, don't they? Horse racing, golf, not with Gordon. Football. And he, ironically, worked for David Pleat, and I spoke to David over his passing because he worked with David for a little while at Leicester, and David said exactly the same thing. What a fantastic guy to work with, whatever. And again, same thing. Just talk football. That was it. And I'm very much the same. I mean, my wife she'd say the same because we are football nuts, basically, aren't we? Right. We get in that mode, and you are that way. So he taught us the values of being footballers. Now, look, we were not earning fortunes, but we were, and nobody wanted to play us. We were tough. We were strong. We were well drilled. We were organised. That was 4-4-2. Gordon always played 4-4-2. So yeah.
Yeah, excellent,
fantastic. So what we're going to do, we're going to pause for a short break and ad from our sponsors. And then when we come back, we'll hear Marv's 60-second quick fire, and we will hear the rest of Brian Horton's My Best 11.
Thank you for listening to My Best 11 Pod. We are currently accepting applications for advertisement and sponsorships. You can reach us at My Best 11 Pod or mybest11pod@gmail.com. Thank you.
Welcome back to the second part of My Best 11 with Brian Horton. So far, Jake Finley, Kirk Stevens, Mal Donaghy, Steve Foster, and Mark Lawrenson. I'm going to hand straight over to Marv for Marv's 60 seconds. Marvin.
Okay, Brian. Favourite other sport?
Golf.
Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi.
VAR or no VAR?
No VAR. I think it's absolute rubbish.
Golden goal or penalty shootout?
Golden goal.
Bundesliga, La Liga or Serie A?
What was the first one, Mark?
Bundesliga, La Liga or Serie A?
Bundesliga.
Fish and chips, pie and chips or pasta?
Fish and chips.
Beer, wine or spirit?
Beer. Lager.
Yeah, okay. If you wasn't a footballer, what would you have done?
I would have liked to have been a golfer. I would have done it if I'd ever been good enough for a golfer. For me, that's an unbelievable sport. And I've just had my knee done, Marvin. I had a knee done. I know it's 60 seconds, so so I had it done in September. It's just getting now, so I can't wait for the weather to improve to get back on the golf course. I haven't played for about 2 years. Can't wait.
Brilliant. Best ground you've played at?
Gosh. Is Valencia called Messiah?
Yes,
Messiah.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Okay.
Valencia.
And is this the last one, Andrew? I mean,
I know you got two more.
Oh, two more, okay. Favourite holiday destination?
Dubai.
Right. Oh, this question, I mean, I think I know that, because obviously who you've managed. Which team would suit your game more today, Liverpool or Manchester City?
Man City, because Valentino plays that role, and now what's his name? Rodri. I just watch them because that's the reason I played for David Pleat and played at Luton and Hull City. So
Man City.
Man City, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic. So, Man City, obviously, you do a lot of work for, being the ex-manager there. But you mentioned earlier on, obviously, being manager of Hull and Oxford. Do you think that it's important that you come through and work your way from the bottom rather than jump straight in to go? Obviously, Man City, when you managed them, were at the top level then, the Premier League. Do you think it's important to start from the bottom as such, or not? I know Hull weren't bottom, but do you know what I mean?
I think it's important that you earn your stripes down below. Obviously, some of the big names they probably won't want to go down there, so they're already looking at the big games. But I started doing my coaching badges when I was at Brighton when I was about 31 because I'd already made my mind up I wanted to go into coaching. And David Pleat, obviously, when I left Brighton and went to there, he was the same thing: do your coaching stuff and what have you. So without shadow of a doubt, to work your way through. The game at the top level now, take Pep Guardiola, take Klopp. You know, they've managed other clubs before they come to do what they're doing here. I know they manage big clubs, Barcelona and Dortmund and Bayern Munich and stuff like that. But I think for the people in England, say for the 92 clubs, if they can go and do it in Division, well, it's 1 and 2 now, isn't it? If they can go and do it, then the biggest problem is now patience. The fans have got no patience. It's all on the media. It's out on FaceTime. It's out on everything. So I wouldn't have liked that because you didn't have to answer to all those people, do you? But now you do. And if some guys are lucky if they get 12 months. I had 3 5-year stints. So lucky to have 3 5-year stints because you can start building something. You can build a youth policy. which I did at Oxford, at Hull City, did at Oxford, did it even at Man City. I loved bringing players through the youth policy, if they're good enough, obviously. But I think that stems from working hard with players lower down, and if you can do that and win things, then I think it stands you in good stead.
Yeah, it's interesting because we spoke to a player called Warren Feeney a few months ago, and he's talking about Harry Kewell. And the way that Harry Kewell has jumped around a number of clubs, Notts County, Crawley. He's tried to do it at the bottom level, but there's a belief that maybe his training standards are, and he's used to playing, and the skill level, they get a bit frustrated with the players going, why can't you do what I could do? Do you think that's something that you struggle with when you went into coaching, or how did you handle that?
Well, I was probably lucky that I took over a good team at Hull. They just missed out on promotion the year before, and Colin Appleton, the manager, left, and so I inherited a good team. Like I said, a captain, Gareth Roberts, Billy Whitehurst, who went on to play at the top level, Steve McLaren, who went on to manage England, he was playing for me. Good defenders, real. So I was lucky to get in. Hull City is a big club, big city. So although it was in the third division, almost gone bankrupt, Don Robinson gave me the opportunity because David Pleat had recommended me. Apparently, Jack Charlton had also thrown my name in. Malcolm Allison had. So I'd got good people recommending me. And when I had him interviewed, the interview lasted about 4 minutes, if that. He just said, "I've heard all about you. I've looked at your thing." And luckily, the chairman knew nothing about football at all. Nothing. So he never interfered in 5 years in terms of picking a team, picking a player, selling a player. Because if I wanted to buy a player or sell a player, then he'd get involved because of the finances, which is quite right. But he put that trust in me. So very lucky, 34, to have a chairman that gave me that trust. As I say, he made me a director. I didn't want to be a director. He said, "Don, I'm still playing. I'm a manager. I'm playing." He said, "No, I want you to learn more about the business. I want you to learn about the football club and the finances." And I thought, okay, sounds a good idea. And I think that stood me in a great situation, really, because when I left Oxford and when I left Hull City and went to Oxford, Kevin Maxwell was my chairman there again for 5 years. It was exactly the same. Now I'm dealing with Robert Maxwell, who owned Derby County and Oxford United. Ian's chairman of Derby, Kevin's manager of Oxford United, and Robert owns the lot. So I've got to be good at what I do to survive at that level with those kind of people, if you know what I mean. And Kevin was exactly the same. Trust you implicitly. So signed Paul Simpson from Man City, signed Jim Mitchelton from Liverpool, John Dern from Liverpool. And he wouldn't give me carte blanche because he knows that I wasn't stupid. But I knew the boundaries. I knew where to go with signing on fees and salaries and stuff. So that's what I learned along the way. But that's what I'm saying to you, that people now get a sack after 12 months and don't come back. That's the biggest statistic in English football, that the new breed of managers don't come back if they've got the sack, and that's a terrible stat.
Yeah. Is that because they don't get a chance, do you think? Because it seems to me in a championship, it just goes round and round in circles. The same 6 managers just go round and round clubs.
It does get a bit like that. It does get a bit like that. And so then would you say, would a guy go from just playing to manage a champion? Well, Wayne Rooney has, hasn't he? So, but that's a different name, and I mean, that's his name that gets. But would anybody from the lesser divisions get a job like that? And the management is just getting crazy. Down below the big. Well, even at Man United, and look how many times they've changed their manager over the last few years. You can't keep doing that. David Pleat found it. David went from Nuneaton, took Kirk Stevens from Nuneaton, and so he'd learned the hard way because he'd had to retire from being a footballer. But he was a fantastic coach, one of the best coaches I've ever worked with or seen ever in my life, and a proper football person. That's all we, as I say, we speak every week, and that's all we talk about: football. Where have you been? What you've seen? Television players and da da. And so he earned his stripes at Nuneaton, didn't he? Before he goes into Luton.
Yeah.
And
no, you're right.
Look at the career he had.
Totally right. So we'll move on to midfield. Where do you want to go in the midfield, depending on if you're doing a diamond, flats, holders? What are you doing?
Well, we'll say 4-4-2.
Right.
4-4-2 might trick you. Well, I don't make it well, but I'll go right hand side.
Yep.
One of the best players I ever played with. Did most of my running, which most probably at Brighton and Luton and Hull probably players would say that anyway. So it doesn't matter. But this guy was an absolute pleasure to play with. He was an absolute top footballer.
I could say go on, Andrew, because go on, Andrew. Everyone's picked him, haven't they? Really?
Yes.
In
Should be a Sir, I reckon. Sir Ricky Hill. He was that good.
Is Ricky Hill? Ricky Hill. Ricky was an unbelievable player, so unassuming. He just had a presence about him, you know. He scored goals with his head and his quality and his strength. But Ricky was the one that was playing on the right hand side of me, where he'd say, "Right, Ricky, if the left back starts to come so far," David Pleat used to say, which is a fantastic statement. He used to say to Kirk, when does a left back score a goal from over the halfway line or from the halfway line? And it's fact, isn't it? So as soon as he started coming down their left side, I pushed Ricky over. And Ricky had, as you know, fantastic energy, could run all day, great in the air, great. But I can just see him now with the way he used to, shield people with his body and turn people, and should have played for England a lot more times than he did. And a wonderful person.
No, definitely. He's a glider, I always reckon. He just looks like he's gliding. His top half of his body never moves when he's running, from what I've seen of him.
He just had everything. As I say, I saw a goal the other week. I actually made it because every now and again somebody comes on on the tweet, and it was a goal we scored. I think it was against Man United, where we worked a little free kick where somebody went to take it, left it, I chipped it around the back, just clipped it around the bang. Ricky scored with a fantastic header, and he was great in the air. Ricky, he had everything. And in my opinion, should have played higher level, should have played for England many times. And we'll see some of the players that played for England around that time. They couldn't lace Ricky's boots, just couldn't.
No, I agree. Who would you? Obviously, you watch so much football now. Who would you liken Ricky Hill to for some of the fans who never actually got a chance to see him play?
It's pretty unique, Ricky, you know. I mean, De Bruyne for me is the best midfield player, but he plays a different role to Ricky. He always played on the right-hand side of me and right-hand side of whoever. But as I say, he would make the four, then he'd be three. Ricky did, I say to him, he did all my running for 3 years, Ricky. I mean, I just sat in the centre midfield, just passing the ball to him and Will Fusillo, they get it out to Mossy. And I used to say, it was just great watching you guys play. You know, because once it went up there, some of the football we produced at Luton was top draw.
Yeah, fantastic. Left midfield. Let's go to
centre midfield.
Oh, you go centre first. Right.
Enter.
Right side, inside of Ricky, right hand side, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
This guy played for England. He had energy to burn. Could again play in many positions, but I'm putting him in there because he got goals from in there. Could play right back, could play centre back, could play there, could play right in Ricky's position. I think you might struggle with this one.
I'm thinking.
It's the England international thing that's weirdly thrown me.
I thought this one would get you.
And then Sandy can play right back.
Oh! No.
I'm just going to start throwing names out there. So it's not silent.
Did he play for Brighton?
Yes.
Did he manage Brighton?
No.
Did he also? This will define it if I've got it or not. Did he also play for Spurs?
No.
Oh, okay.
Were you going Chris Ramsey?
No, Gary Stevens.
He managed in the Premier League.
I was going Gary Stevens.
No.
He managed in the Premier League.
Gary's one of the others where could play right back. Gary's another one that I could have put in centre back, right back.
Right, yeah, that's why.
That's a good shout. That is, to be fair. And Gary, but no,
he managed in the Premiership as well.
He managed in the Premier League, yeah.
See, I know it's a player, but I don't know where he played. I know he played in midfield, but I don't know which part of midfield. But managed in the Premier League.
Okay.
I'm going to chuck it out there because we've got nothing else to lose.
Have you already mentioned him already?
No.
Oh, okay.
Did he manage Villa?
Yes.
Oh, go on, Andrew.
John Gregory.
Yes.
Yes, Andrew. Great.
Have that one out.
He was. He was a good player, Gregors. He could play right back, centre midfield, right side midfield, and I think he was possibly in my top 2 or 3 athletes. He could run all day. We did a cross country at Brighton. He beat us by miles. He just had energy to burn. And again, I saw it on the other day. We had to win our last 4 games at Brighton to stay up, and he scored one of the goals at Palace. And so that summer, Mullery resigned over selling Mark Lawrence into Liverpool because he wanted him to go to Man United and get a couple of players. So Mike Bailey came in. He went to QPR, I think, Gregors. Then Mark went to Liverpool. I went to Luton. Sully, he just destroyed the whole team. But Gregors was just could play anyway, and again, great lad. Again, the spirit we had at Brighton around that time, you know, I've just said Fozzie and Loro and now Gregors, just fantastic team spirit. It was a great place to live, wasn't it? Because we were like in a goldfish bowl down there because we were getting 30,000 people in the Goldstone ground, and we were just flying, weren't we? You know, from 76 third division to the second. Missed out on goal difference, then second to the first, and then stayed there. That which I've just mentioned too, had to win our last 4, and then Mullery resigns over that, and the team gets broken up. You know, which is a bit of a shame.
Fantastic. So you still go down Brighton way a lot. Still, I know you mentioned you've been down there to sign your book, but and you go and watch some games. Is Brighton one of those places you always try and get to?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's probably. I've lived in Manchester since I came to Manchester in '93 because it's not fair. I'm moving the kids around. I had twins, and it wasn't fair to keep moving them. But as a place to live, I could probably even today still go back to Brighton to live. I love going down. The owner, Tony Bloom, who has done a fantastic job with the football club at Brighton by building the stadium and the training ground is awesome. His granddad was my vice chairman there in 1976. Harry Bloom, he was a vice chairman. So. He blames me. He said, I blame you for getting me involved in football, Tony Bloom said to me not long ago. He said, because you're one of my favourite players and you got me involved in football, and look what I've done now, I bought the club. So, but that time in Brighton was special times. And as I say, the crowds, when I signed for them in '76, said, it's not, why are you going there? Because the Crystal Palace were apparently going to come for me in the summer and blah, 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 blah. You hear these things, but it don't happen. So when I went to Brighton, people went, why are you going there for? It's not a football place. You know, seaside, like not a football place. We got from 18,000 to 34,000, and what they're doing now. So, marvelous times. And it when I left to come to David Pleat, there's not many because I could have stayed for another year. I got a year on my contract. I could have stayed and seen it out. But once I spoke to David Pleat, that was job done. I went to there and lived in Harpenden, which I loved at Luton. So great things happened to me at the right times, you know. But that team with so that was a good crew there. Fozzie, Loro, Gregors, good.
Yeah, and Gregory, as you say, Doug. That was a name that is not many. We haven't heard it much so far on the podcast. So fantastic. Who's next to Gregory on the left centre midfield?
International player. Came from a top club. To a club that was then probably in third division. So you probably know where I'm going. You're going to. Wonderful left foot. So Gregors would be on the right hand side. He would now be inside my left winger, and again he could play left wing. He could play. This lad was so talented. It was unbelievable.
I don't know.
I'm struggling with this tomorrow.
Between the two of us, I think we could. Andrew dug the last one out.
Give us some clubs.
No, I'm going to say Man City's not a club, is it? He played for?
He got a free from Man United. I'm giving you a bit of a clue, but that probably won't help you because you got free because you never played at Man United.
Oh, he didn't play at Man United. Got free.
Where? That's too easy again. What nationality?
Pardon?
What nationality?
Welsh. Played for Wales. He had. I'll give you a clue because you won't get. I don't think you get this. Go on, can you? He had a tash like Rivellino. Black curly hair.
Black curly hair.
I don't know nationalities. I know players, but I don't know nationalities.
Wales. I'm trying to think. Anyone I can pick? No, with curly. No.
You won't get it, mate. You honestly, I don't think you get this, Marvin. He played for the club for years and years and years. Had a testimonial.
Which club? Brighton.
Yeah.
With Brighton off Gareth Roberts.
Then when we all left together, he went to Fulham.
Yeah, he's probably right. You're probably right, Brian. You've probably done us. I can't think of a Welsh.
No. I just checked the nationality of somebody who I thought Neil McNabb was in my head. He was Scottish.
No, I didn't. Gordon Smith was Scottish.
I was say Gareth Roberts. Yeah. I don't think he would never have.
Oh no! That's not him. No, we're not got it.
No, go on. Right. Go on.
That's
Peter O'Sullivan.
No, didn't have it. Peter O'Sullivan. No, you're right.
Do you remember?
No, I don't remember. No, I don't remember him. No.
What was he like?
Yeah.
He was left-footed, naturally left-footed, and he had one of the best left foot I've ever played with. He had a free from Man United as a kid. They took him to Man United, and then he served them for, as I say, 10, 11 years. Got his testimonial, and he left the same time. I wouldn't have let him go again when I left. When the new manager come in, I wouldn't have let Sully go. Or John Gregory. Mark was going to go, obviously, because Mark was going to go to Man United, or Mark Lawrenson was going to go to Man United, Liverpool. Yeah. Sully was the left foot to die for. Absolutely incredible. Great player, great lad.
So if you put, obviously, Gregors and Peter O'Sullivan in there, which one was most like you as a player?
Gregors would be the one, because he could play right back, centre back, and he would be more defensive than Sully. This is quite an attacking side, and it's so far that I've got, which I always like to do anyway. But Sully would, he honestly, it was like a joy to watch him play. And as I said, he looked like Rivellino. He was always immaculate. He always had absolutely suit after suit after suit, silk ties, just a snappy dresser, and black curly hair, swarthy, and this little tash like Rivellino. And what a person as well. Great lad.
Fantastic. So, yourself, you mentioned obviously those two playing your position. And you said that when you came to Luton, Pleat, you slightly changed your position. Where was your favourite place to play in the park?
Different, because when I went to Port Vale from non-league, I was playing on the left wing, so 4-4-2 playing wide left, which I didn't really enjoy because I'm not involved. But then after a few games, I took over a lad called Johnny Green, who was a fantastic footballer, coming to the end, so he moved me inside slightly. And then when I went to Brighton, 4-4-2, and then Steve Piper, who I mentioned, God bless him, Sully, he would be the one that sat. Sully would play outside left, but obviously I'll put him inside one because he can do that as well. But Steve Piper would sit. He'd be the sitting midfield player, And I used to just bomb on and get goal after goal, about 14 one season and whatever, So that was what I like to do to get forward. So, but when I'm getting which David Pleat proved right, 31, and probably got that energy or to do what I used to do when I'm 27 to 31, because they say that's your peak. When he transformed me as a player to play that role, cool, dear me. I mean, it gave me 3 more years at Luton, and then probably nearly 2 at Hull promotion in the first year at Hull City, and then prolonged it a little bit. But just some of those guys, like I'm talking Sully. The 3 players in there I've mentioned so far, Ricky Hill, absolutely worked like a Trojan, didn't he? John Greggs was the same. Sully was the same. And I'd like to think I was the same when I'm playing inside and Sully's playing wide left. So that would be whoever on the right wing, because we changed it a few times. But me, Steve Piper, because that was generally it. And then Sully on the left. And that was a team that got promotion, missed out and got promotion nearly, with that crew of midfield players.
Fantastic. So we're going to move to the actual left-hand side proper. Let's see who's on the left wing.
Yeah, he could score goals with both feet. Played against him in the old 3rd division quite a few times, and he was outstanding when he was there. And then the club bought him from there, and he again for me, he could have played for England. He could have easily top player, could have played at any level for me.
Was he good at taking penalties?
Not as good as me.
He played at Swindon?
Mossy missed. Yeah, you've got him. Mossy, haven't you? He missed a penalty. I speak to him all the time, and he missed a penalty at Stoke. I don't know if you remember this game. 4-4 at Stoke. It was live on Midland TV.
Yes, I remember seeing it. I remember seeing the game. Great game.
Their goalkeeper Fox got sent off. Derek Parkin, the fullback, went in goal. I think we come back from about 4-1 down. Anyway, 4-4. It was 4-4. We got a penalty in the last kick of the game, like the 94th minute. So Mossy was on them. And what we used to do, because I wanted to take them, we was all taking them Port Vale, Brighton, everywhere I've been. But he was a great penalty take. Anyway, he sent the keeper the wrong way. Derek Parkin, the fullback, who's in goal now. They didn't have sub-keepers then, did they? So he's hit the inside of the post, comes out, referee blows the whistle. So he comes in, typical Mossy, goes, right, that's it, I'll never take another penalty. He throws the wobbly. He's just missed a penalty where he throws the wobbly in. Do you know what I mean? I said to him, Mossy, you did right, you're taking another penalty. I'm taking him from now on. 4-4. I'll still remind you of that. So, but great lad, again. The team spirit we had, and I took him to Man City, to Oxford, and to Huddersfield with me on coaching, and we still speak today. Just a fantastic footballer that should have played for England, but there's like Waddle and people like that around, weren't they? You know what I mean? So lots of people. Just a quick story on that one, because I think it was Brian Steen's testimonial, and it was Kenilworth Road, and Bobby Robson had said today, Bobby Robson, manager of England, said, we haven't got enough players. I'm struggling to. So they went, anybody play for England? And then I went, I'll play for England. Can I play? I'll never play for England. Mossy went, yeah, I'll play for England. He never played for England. And so we played for England against Luton on that night. I can't remember the score. And I said to Bobby Robson, can we keep the strip, please, boss? He went, no, we can't. Put it back in the basket. And I shouldn't have even asked him, should I? Should have just took it. Mossy was the same. No, but he couldn't. I'm not me. There was miles better midfield players than me, Hoddle and people like that. God, but Mossy was he was an absolute. He'd be worth millions today, Mossy.
Yeah,
he would be worth millions and millions.
Yeah,
great lad as well, by the way. Great, dry sense of humour. Just that the team I'm telling you about, both teams. And I could have put some other people in there, couldn't I? I'm gonna have lots of nasty phone calls over the next few weeks with people. I mean, it's just. But Mossy would be right in there first, but one of the first picks, without a doubt.
Oh, definitely. And it's great you still have that camaraderie together, and you're still catching up all the time. We hear about that. As Basher was telling us the other day about it, and it's fantastic. It's absolutely great to see the players still keep in touch. We're going to move to Strikeforce and up front, where the big money is earned. Rightly or wrongly so.
Well, in a way, rightly, but you still need like Mossy to make goals for these guys up top. UL to be doing what he's doing to make goals, but they are, aren't they? Strikers are goal dust. You've seen what's happening with Man City now with Haaland and different people mentioned, because that's what they love. They're the goal scorers, and that's why they're worth absolute millions.
Yes.
So do you want me to go? It doesn't matter where I go. There's two up top, and I could have gone 4 or 5 of the players up top, easy. So the first one came from a lower division to join us wherever I was. Young, very young, very, very talented centre forward, striker, whatever you call them.
Marvin?
Did he? I know. I'm going to throw a guess in. I mean, did he play for Leeds as well?
No.
Oh, it's not him.
Who's that you thinking?
Where the hell are you going?
Andy Ritchie.
Andy would be right in there. Absolutely. Gordon Smith would be right up there. That's the names I'm having to not put in.
Okay.
Michael Robinson, God bless him. He'd be in.
Martin Shivers.
Chiv only came to.
Oh no, he's not.
Yeah, Chiv only he came to Brighton. Probably only played about 10 games because he was right at the end of his career, and Alan Murray had played with him. So he brought him in as like a super sub, if you like. What a fantastic person for all he'd done in the game. No big headedness about him, just one of the group. Wasn't always in the team, but great in the dressing room. But no, good shout.
That's a good shout.
No.
Close but not close enough.
I know we've done this again.
Went on to play the Premier League.
The Premier League?
Yeah.
Where did Mark Steen come from?
Mark Steen came through the ranks. I
know he played in the Premier League for Chelsea and Stoke as well.
Right. Yeah, I played with Mark. Yeah, he was just a young kid, so I played a couple of times. Yeah, I signed Mark at Oxford, same time as Fozzie. No.
Which club did you play with him at?
Pardon?
Which club did you play with him at?
Yeah.
Luton.
Where did Steve White come from?
Who?
Steve White.
He didn't play in the Premier League, did he? Steve White?
Who's his name?
Steve White.
Steve White, he's saying.
No, White didn't play. White. I'm giving too many clues away.
No, you're not. Listen, I can't believe we can't get it. Luton.
Well, the only other player who I can think that played in the Premier League that you played with was Paul Walsh, but he came through the ranks at Luton.
Walsh.
Correct, you got him. He came from Charlton.
Walshy. Yeah.
That's what threw me. Right, yes. Walshy, yes.
Good shout.
He played for me at Man City in the Premier League.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh,
great player. Fantastic player.
Yeah.
Sensational finisher.
Oh, he was different class. I mean, we had some clashes with Walshy because when he came when he was a young boy, he'd never released the ball. He'd set the gaffer facing him and he'd turn and lose the ball, and I used to go mad at him and go, Walshy, just drop it off. And the gaffer used to go, Brian, he's a spinner. Gaffer, I don't care if he's a spinner or not. He's just lost the ball. I wanted the ball, and I can see in front of me. And his dad, God bless him, Walshy's dad used to say to me after the game, "You keep on to him, Brian. You're right." His dad, not Pleaty, not the gaffer. Gaffer used to stick up for him.
Was Walshy one of Pleaty's faves, like Basher, or should I say? We've heard the story of the fact he was only ever called Kirk, whereas everybody else was called Horton and stuff like that.
Probably be Paul, wouldn't it? Probably be. Kirk. Kirk was the classic, wasn't it? Moss, Horton, Steen.
Yeah. We give it all to Kirk.
Give it to Kirk. Kirk, yeah. We still bring this up on our reunions, but when the gaffer squirms when we do it, then we go, Kirk. Yeah, he loved Kirk. Listen, the gaffer, let me tell you, had no favourites. He loved Kirk because he'd run, and I think he used to do it on purpose sometimes when he used to do that. And he'd go, Horton, pass it to Kirk. In front of everybody, go, hang on a minute, I'm not Brian.
I'm the bloody captain.
I'm the captain, yeah, that's what he used to call me, Horton, I suppose.
Fantastic. So Walshy's in there. Who is going to play next to Walshy? You said you've gone two. Are you going to go two similar type of players?
Very similar type of player. Natural goal scorer. Decent in the air, to be fair to him. And a pleasure to play with again. Just a talented footballer. Yeah. And that's what David liked. I'm just giving a clue away now. I mean,
did he score a famous goal in the '88 Cup final? You may not. As a Luton fan, that means a lot to me.
I think he did. Yeah, you've got him anyway.
Go on, Brian. We're going.
You go on, Brian. Well, you got the first name right, Marv. Keep going.
I know. Brian Steen. Bruno.
Yes, Steve. He would never forgive me, Steenie, would he, if I didn't put him in? Oh, gosh almighty. I mean, so this was the hardest choice, let me tell you, because you just mentioned some boys, haven't you?
Yeah.
Gordon Smith that could play up there. That was the hardest choice. Peter Ward at Brighton was sensational. Wardy came from Burton Albion for next to nothing just before I went to Brighton in '76. He scored nearly 40 goals in the one season when we got promotion, and but he was like Walshy. He was used to get onto him an awful lot because he was greedy at times, and I think Brian Clough took him to Notts Forest, and they would knock that out of you. It's like Walshy went to Liverpool. They would knock that out of you because they wouldn't stand people losing the ball easily, Marvin, would they? They wouldn't.
No.
So that's where, and Walshy got better. And when I signed him at Man City, wow. As I said, I'm doing quite a few of the Man City, forums and stuff and watch clubs at the moment. They absolutely love Walshy. They bring one game up when we beat Tottenham 5, and Tottenham would let him go. And he was just awesome in that game. But him and Steenie together, they just had it off together. They both could. Not big, were they? I mean, what was Brian, 5'10"? 5'10"? But they were just so... Brian was just naturally gifted. That was his brother, Mark. I signed his brother, Mark. Yeah. Mark was an outstanding footballer also. Brian comes to the reunions and he's so dry at times, isn't he, with his humour. Do you know what I mean? You don't know if you're going to laugh or cry with seeing you sometimes. Do you know what I mean? But good player, absolutely brilliant player. But Wardy, that was the hardest for me. That was probably the hardest thing. Walshy, Steenie, Wardy, Robinson, Richie, some good names. But I've gone for Walshy and Steenie.
Fantastic, Marvin.
So, I mean, who's going to be the manager? Who's going to lead this 11? Then obviously it can be a former manager. It could be maybe even a youth team coach or a school teacher or whoever. Who do you think is the best to lead this team around in your experience?
I'm so lucky to have had Gordon Lee, who I said the other day, they took me back in from non-league and passed away today. Just his honesty and the way he organises free transfers and non-league players. But he left on to move on, went to Blackburn, Everton, Newcastle. So Gordon, Alan Mullery, Peter Taylor signed me, made me captain straight away. We only played about 10 games for him at Brighton, and then he went back with Brian Clough, and then Alan Mullery took over. And I thought I could be on my way here because he was only about 34. He played for England, World Cups. I thought, wow, this is my position. I could be in jeopardy here. Mm. Then he came in, saw us play, and he retired, and he made me captain. And what he used to say to me was unbelievable because I was like him, very much like him. And he used to go berserk after games. If we lost, David was more calm and so was Gordon Lee. But Alan was so volatile. He'd throw things and shout things and call you things. And he was just that way. But he brought players in to fit teams, not always coaching. So Mullers is up there. I speak to him still all the time as well now. So we've got Gordon Lee, Alan Mullery. Well, I've got to go for David Pleat. David taught me so many things, changed my role, changed the way that I'd been coached all through my career, because he's an absolute genius as a coach. Fantastic football person. So I've got to go with the gaffer, with David Pleat. And that's a hard one. That's a hard one out of three.
Interesting. And would you say that obviously you mentioned those three, you picked little bits. What kind of bits did you pick from each of those three managers when you went into management yourself?
Well, I was a little bit, as a manager for the organisation, Gordon Lee, because he was so stringent with his organisation and the stuff that he did. He was way ahead of his time for me, and that's why he went on to manage the teams that he did. Coaching players that sometimes can't always do what you want to do because they're coming from non-league or getting free transfers. But that's what he had to do and build a team that way, where Alan did have a lot of money to spend at Brighton, which he did. And that's where he used to say, I'll tell you once, I'll tell you twice, third time you've gone. And it was literally like that at times. He wouldn't stand if you weren't performing. But he always said to me, as a captain, if you're out on the pitch, if you want to change the system, if you want to make a change, you make it and I will back you 100%, no matter what the result is at the end. So if you want to change something, you change it. And as I say, he wasn't a fantastic tactical coach by any means, but he was just such a winner. He was an absolute, because he was, that's what he was when he played for England in the World Cups and everything. So that side of Alan I learned a lot of. And I probably was not quite maybe as volatile as him, but I was volatile. If people would tell you I was, and I couldn't get away. I can't stand losing. I still can't. My dad said to me one time, and my dad was a miner and great respect, and he used to say to me, "You're the worst loser I've ever seen in a life, Brian." I said, "Why, Dad? What do you mean?" And he went, "Because when you win, you shake everybody's hand." He said, "But when you lose, you just run off the pitch." And I said to him, "Dad, well, they've just beat me, so why do I want to shake hands?" I know it's not a nice thing to say, is it? Because it's not a good sportsman's thing. But I can't help being that way. And where David Pleat wasn't like that at all. I remember we got beat 6 at Liverpool one day, and he sat us down. He went, "Well done today." And I'm thinking, if this is Alan Mullery, the boots would be flying, and everything would be going, a cup of tea, and everything would be going here. And he said, "Well done, you played some good football out there today." And I'm thinking, we just got beat 6. I'm thinking to myself, and he said, nobody could have lived with them today. You got Dalglish and Souness and Rush and Lawrence and Hansen and got through the team. They were an awesome team. And, rather than being, beaten up by the manager, he just gave us, probably a bit of confidence by not having to go at us. But that's the way David was. But second to none with coaching. I learned so much off him that I hadn't done some of the things. I'm 31, and I hadn't done some of the things that I'm learning off David Pleat. I'd never done them in training or the matches and stuff he had us doing. So I tried to take that part of him in. First of all, when I'm a player manager and I'm coaching, I've got to do that because I ain't got the money that Alan Mullery had at Hull City to buy, just dismiss players and buy players. I've got to coach them. Luckily, we got promotion the first year. We had a good team. So it makes it easier for the manager, doesn't it? And as well as I'm playing, that it makes it easier. But learned a lot of all three of them.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to touch on what you just reminded me of something there as well, Brian. When I had the gaffer for a while when I got into the team, is that one of the biggest things I remember going in, what I take into coaching, is that I remember David Pleat. He never, very rarely mentioned about. Well, obviously, we knew we'd be playing, obviously, maybe a Liverpool or Man United or whatever. But he never turned around and said they've got this player or that player. He used to say what we were good at: keep the ball moving. Right, keep the ball to feet, so you do this. He never really mentioned, be careful of it. He didn't give us that fear, and that's what I loved about him. I thought, you know what, that's so, it's so shrewd of him to, he probably did on purpose. He knew we were playing, obviously, against the likes of the Liverpools and the Man United, but he didn't mention, rush up front or whatever, anything like that.
No, he didn't. I remember one game, and it was leading up to that Man City game where we were playing. We lost to Everton on the Saturday, and we still think we're okay. We've got beat 5, but they had a good start. Mossy scored first, And we're down there, but not really involved in the relegation battle, Marvin. So we got beat 5-1 at home with Kenilworth Road on Saturday. Monday, he came to me and said, we're playing Man United on a Monday night. And he said, I'm going to put Ray Daniels and Gary Parker next to you at Old Trafford on the Monday night. And I went, what do you mean, Gaffer? I said, they've got Remy Moses, Ray Wilkins and Brian Robson. So you're going to put the two kids with me in there? He said, yeah, we're safe. We're okay. Just go and enjoy. Played well. And I signed them both to Hull City eventually years after. But we got beat anyway, so it was fine. Then every result went against us on the Tuesday night. Every single result, if you remember. And now we've got to go to Man City and win on that Saturday, where he skipped onto the pitch, didn't he, and kissed me on the cheek. Said, kissed me on the cheek. He said, you can go anywhere you want, Brian. I said, no, I can't. My contract up, Gaffer. My contract is up. That doesn't happen anymore. That doesn't happen anymore.
It's funny you mentioned that. It's because like we had Wayne Turner on, and he said he speaks about that game. He says when the gaffer come onto the pitch and he's thinking he's going to like give Wayne he's pushed him out of the way to come to you to give you a kick. He's pushed Wayne.
We always remind Wayne of that when we were all together. He goes, "Push you aside." He skipped on the pitch. I mean, they still show it on lots of the stuff today. Obviously, we stayed up, and then he taught me into staying for another year, and then helped me get the job. And he was for 3 years there. I learned so much off him and David Coates, John Sheridan, the physio, Trevor Hartley, John Moore, top coaches, weren't they? The coaching kids and coaching the reserves. It was a fantastically well run club. David had it spot on right through from the first team right down to the youth policy.
100%.
Definitely. And just so people know, obviously, we've mentioned the book already. You've just worked through that, and you said you only finished working or in football a few years ago. What are you up to these days?
Nothing really. Now, I was 73 a couple of weeks ago. I've had an unbelievable career in football. So just enjoying my life. I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing, but obviously that won't go on for that much longer. But I'm enjoying doing it because the Man City fans, absolutely for whatever reason, I have 20 months there. They love my football, which is great, isn't it? I love your football, and I'm getting great joy doing. I've got about 5 or 6 lined up, and then there's loads more to do, probably maybe next season or end of May. So I'm just doing that, choosing my old games. Got a couple of grandchildren, 3 grandchildren now, and I'm just basically enjoying my life, and can't wait to go on the golf course again so I can get away from my missus.
Did she say that, or you say that?
Yeah, she say that.
Fantastic. And the book's available in all good bookshops and Amazon and places like that, is it?
Yeah, Amazon, Waterstones. Yeah, you can get it on there. Yeah, and apparently it's going because obviously the pandemic kicked in and the bookshops weren't open and everything started. So the Pitch Publishing have done great. A girl called Laura Wolfers. She's sort of done a lot of the advertising for it and got me on to doing interviews in the national papers and promoting it and everything. So apparently it's going quite well. But it's as you said before, it was just of my career, of my life, rather than being a massive money spinner. You know what I mean? It's nice to earn a few bob out of it, of course it is. But the main reason I did it, basically a little bit for myself as well. It's there. That's there forever now, isn't it? I mean, people ring me up and said, I'm taking your book. Mick Moore, who's the groundsman at Oxford United, I spoke to him the other day, and he went, taking your book on holiday, I'm going to read it on holiday. I went, oh, well, that'll send you to sleep a few nights when you're on holiday. Yeah, but just
brilliant.
It was just enjoyable to do, basically, and go through some of the people I've worked for in football, and it's given me and my family, it's given me a wonderful life.
Excellent, fantastic. Well, I want to say on behalf of myself and Marv, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah,
fantastic hearing from you. And that was Brian Horton's My Best 11.